Hello and welcome back to the history of giant monster movies. Picking up where we left off, it is the year 1905. While the acclaimed Georges Méliès was making films about dragons and giants in France, there was another development in the history of giant monster film being made in England. And that is, of course, the creation of the very first dinosaur movie. Everyone loves dinosaurs. Not only are dinosaurs these magnificent creatures, they were also real creatures, which is what makes them unique and attractive to audiences. Now, dinosaurs have a huge stronghold in today's popular culture. You can consider them giant monsters, but dinosaur movies also have the legs to stand on as its own subgenre. However, our understanding of dinosaurs was still rather flimsy in the early 1900s. All we really had was the limited discoveries brought on by paleontology, these monstrous skeletal structures that were being discovered and put on display in museums, and of course, the paleo art. In the late 1890s, a British political cartoonist and illustrator named Edward Tennyson Reed would create a cartoon series for Punch magazine called Prehistoric Peeps. Prehistoric Peeps was just a simple comic made to entertain on an issue-by-issue basis, instead of telling an overarching narrative. Prehistoric Peeps became a popular little cartoon in the UK at the time, popular enough to warrant a movie, the 1905 short film Prehistoric Peeps. The film was directed by Lewin Fitzhammond, a director for hire who went on to direct nearly 500 short films during his career. A large chunk of his career was done under the Hepworth Manufacturing Company, where its owner Cecil Hepworth would produce these films. Long thought to be a lost film, Prehistoric Peeps actually isn't lost. In fact, it is perfectly restored from 35mm prints that got some nice MP4 scans that can be viewed. Here's the catch though, the film is not available online at all, nor did it ever get a release on any kind of physical media. Currently, the British Film Institute is in possession of the film elements and its digital copies, so if you happen to live in London, you could visit the BFI library and view the film on one of their computers. Unfortunately for me, I live in the United States in Florida, so being able to see this film is very much so a far cry for me for the time being. There also doesn't seem to be any official plot description of the film, but there is a video by the YouTube channel Past Uncut, who is run by an Englishman who does live in London and has seen the film. For this video, I'm not going to copy everything he says verbatim, but I'll just briefly summarize the plot like this. Basically, the events in the film take place in a dream, and there are a lot of fantasy elements at play here. The film follows a paleontologist who dreams about wandering about in an ancient cave. While in the cave, a handful of dinosaur-like creatures come to life and chase the man around the cave, and some comedic hijinks ensue. From what I understand, the dinosaurs were created by way of pantomime costumes, and not stop motion like they usually were back then. Even though stop motion was a thing back then, regardless if stop motion were in the cards or not, bringing the dinosaurs to life through the use of pantomiming was probably an effective way to go about it in the early 1900s. The effect is akin to what you'd see in Chinese traditions. Chinese dragon parades make use of the pantomime dragon, and to bring it full circle, the Chinese did build their traditional beliefs involving dragons, and they say that it's likely because their ancestors had found fossilized dinosaur skeletons, which led them to believe they were the remains of dragons. Now back to the film Prehistoric Peeps. The dinosaurs featured in the film are not species specific, none of them were based on any particular creature, and the only dinosaur in the film that was called out by name was called the Hepworthosaurus, an obvious wink wink to the producer of the film. Seeing that I never actually got to see this film, I don't think I could comment any further on the film's quality. If you want a more personal and detailed review of the film, then I suggest checking out the video by Past Uncut, as his video does Prehistoric Peeps more justice. However, I do want to add to the discussion by saying that I think the British Film Institute should try to work out a distribution deal for the film. That way you could get this film on a physical disc or at least get to see it online. They could very well do so if the demand is high enough. I could see maybe the British Film Institute putting the film on their own BFI Boutique Blu-ray label. I'm not sure how copyright law works in Britain, but considering the film was released in 1905, the film should be in the public domain by now. However, it is possible that the film is still copyrighted because the director lived into his 90s and didn't pass away until the 1960s. So for all we know, Prehistoric Peeps could still have copyright protection well into the 2030s. Anyways, regardless of its availability, I can confirm that Prehistoric Peeps is the earliest known film to ever feature dinosaurs. It might have been a crude attempt, but there's still plenty of time to improve. Trust me, the evolution of dinosaur movies continues to get more interesting, especially as more dinosaur movies start to make up the bulk of giant monster monster films from this point on. Anyways, folks, that's all I've got for you today. Tune in next time to see what the next giant monster movie is. This next film is also the very first of its kind within the genre. Here's a hint. It's wet. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, take care now.